You can celebrate every day. And I'm not going to sell you a diet. I'm not going to tell you how to make a ton of money. I'm not going to sell you any product whatsoever. And I'm not going to make this out to be this everything fixes and everything's right type of Christianity that you might have heard about on TV. I'm Zach. This is The Average Christian, a project about what it means to have a relationship with God, how to live that out in practical terms, and keep ourselves accountable. We're in 1 Peter chapter 1. I want you to know that you can get up and celebrate every day. Now, it has to be intentional. I know that you might say, well, you have no clue what I'm going through. All that is true. It's not that celebrating is going to be jumping for joy like the guy on the old Toyota commercials. You remember those, Clayton, the old Toyota commercials? I love what you do for me. And some dude or woman jumps up and kicks their feet behind them. And that was Toyota. That's not necessarily how every day is going to go, but you can celebrate. You can appreciate this coming from a guy who had trouble doing this very thing today, going through work, but this is available to you. Now, you got to know that Peter wrote to these people to tell them how to endure suffering. That's what the latter part of this letter is going to be about. You are going to suffer for Christ. You are going to suffer for your faith. I see on social media and on the news makes a living and a killing at telling you what all's wrong with the world. I see people talking on social media about what all is wrong. That's not how Peter starts his letter. He starts with what to celebrate. He starts with what's good. You start with what you have. I remember Lou Holtz talking about in one of his videos of a speech that he gave for some company. They paid him, I'm sure, a lot of money. And he talked about having a team when he coached at Arkansas that was going to go to Oklahoma, and he had to suspend, I think, his top 3 or 4 players that scored 78% of their points. And so all week before this bowl game, that's all they talked about is why Oklahoma was so good and all the Oklahoma players that were so good and what Arkansas was missing. And so coach got together with his team and said, we are not leaving here. I know why we can't win. I want you to tell me why we can. And it started slow. One guy saying that we do have one of the best defenses in the country, and so we're not going to get beat as badly as they say we are. And it moved forward from there. And before long, they were counting what all they had to go to I almost said battle, but to go to the game with what they had, what they brought to the table instead of what they didn't have. That's how you and I got to start our days is what do I have? And that's how Peter starts this letter. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. That's got an exclamation point on it. I'm too white to start hollering that the way it should be said. But blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. According to his great mercy, you need to know what that word means and why it's so great. He has caused us to be born again to a living hope, which that's what you need. The most dangerous person in the world is the one who's lost hope. You have something to hope for every day. The question is, what is it? Is it all these flimsy things? Is it flimsy people? Is it accomplishments, achievements, whatever it is, or your vacation? Is it those things, or is it this living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead? What that means is you're going to get up from the dead. If Jesus doesn't come back, you are going to get up from the dead. And that's the greatest power that 1 Corinthians 15 talks about. Because Jesus is risen from the dead, we will. The same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead in Romans chapter 8 is going to raise me. You're coming back from the dead. He says you've got a living hope because of this. I don't know if you get up and think about it every morning, this could be the day Jesus comes back. What if we thought like that? This could be the day, and I've got this hope. I'm looking forward to it. 2 Peter chapter 3, as it talks about there, looking forward to and hastening, wanting the coming of the day of God to be faster, to come more quickly. To an inheritance, he says here, through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, to an inheritance. Now listen to what he says here. An inheritance that is imperishable. See, you bought a new car recently. Well, what's the problem with the new car? In a year, it ain't going to be a new car. In 6 months, it ain't going to be a new car. When you drove it off the lot, it did what? Depreciated. And from there, it starts to wear down. This is imperishable. This is why Jesus said, don't lay up treasures on earth where moth and rust can corrupt and thieves can break in and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven where moth and rust don't corrupt, where thieves can't get to it. Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 and 20. So he says we have this inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled. Nobody can take away from it. It's not going to wear out. It's not going to change. Unfading, kept in heaven for you. Jesus said, I go to prepare a place in John 14. This is waiting for you. This is what you have ahead of you. Yes, all of these other things, all of these possibilities, these problems that you don't know how they're going to be resolved, the grief that you're experiencing, whatever is there. But behind all of that is this. He says it's kept in heaven for you who by God's power are being guarded through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. I just want to focus on God guarding your inheritance. You think of God guarding, you could go back to the Old Testament, think of stories like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? In Daniel, and God guarding them. Daniel being guarded in the lion's den in chapter 6. All of these to illustrate God's power in guarding, and he has your inheritance in the same way. Nobody can take that away from you. They can't kill you. They can't torture you. And it's so important to know that for these people, especially that Peter's going to be warning them about the sufferings that are coming. It's important for them to be able to see this. And he says, in this you rejoice, though now for a little while, if necessary, you've been grieved by various trials, and it is necessary. And there is a reason why it is in verse 7, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes though it's tested by fire, the genuineness of your faith may be found to result in the praise and honor and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Though you have not seen him, you love him. Though you do not see him now, you believe in him and rejoice with joy that is, you listening? With joy that is inexpressible. Joy inexpressible. You can't even put it into words. That's why you can celebrate every day, because you have an inheritance. That inheritance is guarded by God. You have something to hope in, a living hope that you will get up from the dead. It's not just that you're going to be able to hear this and read this or watch this and it's going to fix. It takes work. It takes effort to change your mentality, change your way of thinking. Some of you have a more difficult time with this. Some of you are like me, who are negative by nature. It's going to take intense focus in order to change the mentality so that you start your day with these kind of things, and hopefully it infiltrates the rest of your day or your reactions to whatever is going on, to remember, I have a reason to celebrate all the time. Thank you for being with us. For those of you on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed already, please do that. Hit this button below, and it helps us with growing our channel. If you want to see what we released last time, it's in this corner. What YouTube recommends is over here. For our podcast listeners, we're grateful for your presence too. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Anyone who wants to support this work can go to theaveragechristian.net/Patreon and help us there and share this with other people.